I don't feel so good.
No?
You don't feel so good?
Oh, it hurts.
No, wait, hold on a second. So, hey, before we get into this is we're putting out a little specially spoiler episode because we have recently read Rebirth of Thanos, which is going to come out, depending on when I edit and put this together, is either going to come out later this week or just came out. Either way, we have all seen Infinity Gauntlet, as does the rest of the world, but having read some of the comics, we thought we'd throw out a few of our thoughts, because we've also, have done the actual Infinity Gauntlet comic book series, and so we wanted to do a spoiler cast. So if you have not seen Infinity War and you don't want any spoilers, turn this off now. This is not even a full episode, so don't even stress it. But thanks for listening anyway. We appreciate you, because we're going to spoil the living crap out of it.
Come on, you fuckers think that just because a guy reads comics he can't start some shit? I'll fucking take all you want!
Welcome to this week's episode of the Funny Books and Firewater Podcast.
面白い本と歌手ポッドキャストの今週のエピソードへようこそ。
Ignore her. She drinks.
Each week, a motley band of comic readers / amateur bartenders attempt to pair cocktails with comic books.
毎週漫画の読者の雑多なバンドはスラッシュアマチュア入札しようと漫画とペアカクテルバーです。
All while trying to not sound like complete morons in the
すべ
process.
ての中にしようとして音ではないような完了プロセスで低能です。
Kind of like a speakeasy kind of thing. It's kind of cool.
You can find these idiots on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr.
Facebook、Twitter、Instagram や Tumblr にこれらのバカを検索できます。
No, what? You read too many comic books.
We now join Brian, Jeremiah, Adam, and Todd.
They're used to curious sights which they attribute to alcoholic delusions. They may be drinkers, Robin, but they're also human beings.
I'm too sober for this shit.
Where do you guys want to start about this?
At the beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
So Iron Man
Mason
came out in
Robin.
2008.
Yeah.
And that's not what you meant by the beginning?
No.
No, so his parents loved each other very much. No, so the thing with this is the culmination of a decade worth of 18 films.
Yes.
So and I guess obviously if you've already seen it because that's why you're still listening. If for some reason you're like, I don't care about spoilers and blah blah blah. If you and you're listening now, if you've not seen a good chunk of the movies, you're going to be completely lost. It would be like it'd be like starting Breaking Bad, the series finale, and like trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Like, who's Jesse? What is this Walter guy? Like, why is everyone say he died? You know, this is for the fans. You really need to have a basic understanding of the movie. That doesn't mean you have to have an understanding of the comics because the MCU is its own thing separate from the comics. But you got to at least know, like who Vision was, why it's important that the stone's in his head. Like, where if you go in completely blind as far as never having experienced anything else, you're not going to know what the hell's going on.
My overall opinion of it is, as it was described to me and what I've told to people in the most non-spoilery way, is that I feel like it is the first half of a good movie. Like, I don't feel like this is a complete movie personally. Because it obviously ends, it obviously has to continue, and we know that it was originally planned as 2 parts. And I feel like my overall vote on whether or not I like this movie or not is still out a little bit. One, because I still feel like there's a second half to the story that we need to see before I can kind of make a full judgment. But 2, because I personally, the first time I saw it, I was concentrating so hard on all the action that's going on stage, on screen, that I haven't had a chance to really absorb it or just sit down and be entertained by it, if that's at all possible with this story. So I was more, interested in catching on all the storylines. And there are 3 storylines going on, and maybe that's a way of breaking it all down. And going through the different storylines. So I think we'll start out with, so you have, the other thing I think is worth noting, if you've seen the movie, you already know this. If you're not worried about spoilers and you're going to go see it, really, of the last movies, you really need to have seen Thor Ragnarok and you really need to have seen Black Panther, because those lead directly into this, way directly into this.
I would say also Civil War and Ultron. Civil War definitely. At
least just for knowing that they've broken up and that kind of thing. That's some of that stuff is explained, within the context of it. But there's certain characters like Black Panther's sister and Black Panther, and then why Thor and some of the people are on the ship, things like that aren't necessarily explained. They just jump right into it. So for you to be able to kind of understand what's going on, or
because the movie begins literally right at the moment Thor Ragnarok ends.
Yeah. So the Thor stuff, I guess, I mean, since we're spoiling it, we're going to spoil it.
Yeah.
I have a theory, and I want to see what other people's opinions are. I think, my personal opinion is that I think that people who died from Thanos snapping his fingers will come back, but my concern is that characters who died in the process of him getting the stones will not, which means leading up to our first deaths, which is Heimdall and Loki. I think they're out of the MCU. I think they're gone.
Well,
but I want to get.
At the very least, Tom Hiddleston, because he said he just doesn't want to do the role anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I also am concerned about the same thing about Gamora.
See, I have read somewhere else that for the third Guardians, that it's confirmed they would like to. James Gunn had done something about a focus of like having it be more Gamora centric versus Star-Lord centric.
Okay.
So Gamora will probably be back.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Here's my thing. I don't think she is, because right now, because I was talking to someone, and they're like, "How do you have a Guardians 3 without Gamora?" Like, you have Peter be bitter, Peter be bitter, that everyone else came back and not the woman he loves.
Yeah.
And then this whole movie, he's bitter and broken, and the rest of the team has to. Whereas he's kind of been the dad the whole time. They have to help Dad out and move on. I
mean, you definitely could have a movie that way, but that was just something I'd read with James Gunn going on there. And, it is the 3 parts you have that going on here. And I do want to compare it to another great movie. It's a mad world. Mm-hmm. It's about a group of people. I mean, they're focused on a thing, but you've got these 3 disparate stories all kind of moving towards its end goal. And it's a long movie, and they handled the characters and the different stories. I mean, I think the greatest achievement is in the editing and in the handling of the storylines without it feeling too clunky or tacked on.
Mm-hmm. On top of that, I feel like every character has good moments in it. You don't feel like really there's any character that's completely wasted. In fact, I think speaking of the Guardian stuff, I think one of the characters that oddly steals the show is Drax.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily a main character in the story, but he kind of steals it to a certain extent. Like, it's some of the most Drax stuff since I think the first Guardians. I personally thought that Peter Quill was the most boring character in the second Guardians. I felt like everyone else had more interesting things going on except for him. That's my 2 cents. People can disagree with me if they want to or not. But I felt like Peter Quill was completely reactionary in the second Guardians, which is kind of what bothered me about it, among other issues. But the Guardians in this film I actually really liked. There's a moment with Groot and the Winter Soldier in Wakanda where Groot is shooting and the Winter Soldier picks him up and spins it around. Rocket. What did I say?
Groot.
Oh, Groot. I said Groot. Yeah, right. No, Rocket Raccoon, where they're spinning him around, which I thought was super fun. We quoted on one of the episodes recorded today. Adam quoted that speaking Groot was an elective at Asgard High. Yeah, so
that was funny. I even do like the Groot moment where Groot steps up and after the hammer is forged and where's the handle. So they did the annoying teenager thing quite well with him, and then having him do the step up was nice. So they did have the good moments. The character development as it continued with everything. It was very the script was good. It was deftly handled, and it was there. But it's a pause, and with too much of their announced slate. I think the biggest challenge I have is they have announced a slate. There is going to be a Guardians 3. There is going to be a Black Panther 2. There is going to be
Spider-Man 2.
There is a Spider-Man 2.
So at the end, when they all die, I'm like, well, they have a franchise to go on, so they're obviously
keeps
coming
going,
back.
So they've got to come back. So I know at least them are coming back. Who else? So are they all coming back, and are they just going to flip it? Because you look who survives, and who survives is the original Avengers.
The original Avengers.
Well,
first,
I would amend that to the original Phase 1 heroes, because Rhodey, too, is still alive.
Is Rhodey still alive?
Yeah, Rhodey's still alive. Remember, he was walking through a con, and he's like, Sam, where are you? Right as Sam.
Yeah, so the original Avengers lineup, and it seems like everyone who got past, or, who did the dust thing, they'll be back, and is the next one going to just flip that? Are they going to go, I've got to sacrifice myself for the others, because we have a whole bunch of actors with contracts that are up.
They say they don't trade lives, but would the Avengers trade their lives for the younger heroes?
Right.
Because the whole
for more humanity. Because
how many times, or just everyone that went away. How many times in the movie did that come up? We don't trade lives.
Yeah,
right.
And the reason why Thanos won was because he realized that he had to trade a life.
Yeah,
he had to trade life. So are they going to come to that same conclusion? So the original Avengers lineup comes back for the next Infinity, and then they're going to swap places, and we'll take their place.
possibly. Because like you said, there's like Chris Evans said he's pretty much done. I mean, I'm sure if they offer him enough money, he might stay. But
sure,
if they bring that big dump truck full of money and dump it on his lawn, he might say yes. But I can see why you want to do other things. I mean, he's doing stuff on Broadway right now. I mean, he wants to do other roles, and because the thing you have to keep in mind with all these characters or these actors when they're in these movies, it's not just like, oh, we filmed the movie, we're done, we go do some research, that's it. I mean, they gotta like be in shape, they gotta like bulk up, it's a time commitment as well. And I love the fact that they made fun of Chris Pratt for putting on some weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. Like he let him kind of make fun of him.
I too am one sandwich away from being fat.
Whereas Brian and I are becoming sexy bitches. So
yeah, we're trying.
You guys are doing awesome, by the way.
Thank you. But I think that you're going to see like RDJ step down, and then you're going to see Chris Evans step down, Hemsworth possibly, and how they're going to do it, who knows? But you'll have a new set of heroes for Phase 4,
right? And by all means, that's great. It moves forward, but with that knowledge of that other slate that has that announcement here, it kind of gives there's a falsehood that seems like I see the hand waving.
Well, I've got a buddy of mine saw it, and his take on it was he's pissed that they're gonna have to like recast the characters or something like that because he already likes these characters, or two, they're just gonna bring them back. And he's like, when that happens, then what was the whole point of this whole movie even taking place? And it's like, you don't read many comic books, do you? Because everyone has died like 50,000 times to come back.
Comics, that's fine.
And I think that's, for
if this was its own movie and not part one of a 2-part movie, I could see that argument.
Yeah,
but this is we're halfway through,
right?
Right, and so I think what will eventually happen is to have the full ramifications of what took place and what will take place. You'd almost have to eventually compare these as like one movie, because just as much as like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was part 1 and 2, that's kind of what it is here. But I know that the Russo brothers, they did say, because originally it was going to be Infinity War part 1 and part 2,
right? But
this new movie, like whatever Avengers 4 is going to be, from what I understand, they said we changed that because it's so different tonally from this film that we want to consider it a sequel, not a part 2.
It's even more dour and sad.
Right. So what I've been really willing to guess to make it so dour and sad is there's going to be a pretty good time jump. So it's not going to be like 2 weeks, 6 months. I bet it's going to be a number of years for the next one.
Maybe.
Because really, I mean, so you've got a villain that's gone fishing. He's watching the sunset and he's gone fishing.
Just like at the end of Infinity Gauntlet.
Right, absolutely. So he's following that out. So they're going to have to hunt him down if they want to do anything about it. So there's a lot of room in there for this thing. And then you've got these characters that are now old and worn out and just like, we failed, we lost, and everything else. And so you can really see them down and out. Not quite Logan-esque in that extremity, but it could be like 5 to 10 years time. I mean, the next movie coming out in Marvel they're doing is going to be a retro.
Ant-Man and the Wasp Ant-Man and the Wasp takes place shortly before this.
Right. So there's nothing that I'm aware of coming.
Captain Marvel's in the 90s, and we'll talk about Captain Marvel in a second.
Right. But so with all that coming in and they've been confirmed there's other movies coming out, but there's not a time frame. And with the Infinity Gauntlet and the Time Stone, after the next Avengers movie, they can do whatever they want with the Time Stone and reset it. So are they going to take this advantage and give it a 5-10 year old them out and like nothing's really going on?
I don't think so. I think it'll pick up
pretty quick.
With if there's any lapse of time, I think might be months.
Okay. See, I'm going for years here. I'm going for 2 to 5 years.
I also don't think that Thanos is going to ultimately be the villain in the next movie.
Okay.
And I'm not saying they'll copy. I don't know. I don't have a thought of who it will be, but I'm just thinking, and I'm not saying they'll do this exactly, but if you think about it, after issue 4 of Infinity Gauntlet, he wasn't the bad guy.
Yeah, it turned out to be Adam Warlock.
Nebula took the gauntlet from Thanos.
Sure.
And that's right, yeah.
And I'm just wondering if maybe they find Thanos and he's like, fuck it, I did what I did, gives him the gauntlet. Or they fight him and someone gets the gauntlet. Maybe someone with, let's say, less restraint or purpose than Thanos gets the gauntlet.
Donald Trump.
Oh,
there you go.
He'd use it to grab all the pussies.
And it maybe ends up driving them mad if it's one of our heroes, and they end up becoming, I don't know, just
sure. Okay.
My question is they do the scene on Guardians 2, the extra scene was basically leading into Adam Warlock. Do you think he's going to play into this, or do you think he plays it in the next Guardians?
No, James Gunn has said flat out he is not involved in this at all. I agree. It would be a waste to put him in this because then you have to introduce this whole new character, and then he's automatically like the MacGuffin that fixes everything.
I don't want him as an executive producer on this.
Yeah. I don't want them to bring in a fix. I don't want them to bring in an Adam Warlock in this, and he automatically fixes.
Yeah, we don't want a Deus Ex.
I want my heroes that I've watched for 10 years to fix this themselves. And if it's their last hurrah, it's their last hurrah.
Right.
They get the ending they deserve if they're the ones that fix everything.
Because here's the thing: is like with this, so those of us who went into this, who read the Infinity Gauntlet, knew that Snap was coming.
Yeah,
we knew.
I mean, even from the trailer, it was already like, oh, that's happening.
And when. I went in expecting. I was fully convinced. I knew, like, because I tried to make the movie up in my head, but I was like, "Oh, they're going to kill this person. They're going to kill that person." I was wrong.
I was wrong.
I was completely wrong. And Maya and I both recalled that the movie was going to end with a snap, and then you wouldn't know what happened.
Just like a quick, like, snap, cut to black, done. You have to wait a year to figure out what happened.
Yeah, no.
We got 15 minutes of heartbreak.
Yeah,
right. Because that would have been like the Sopranos ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so they didn't do that. So, but that being said, we also know that for almost, again, I'm with you guys that everyone who disappeared after the snap, they're coming back. The other ones I'm not so sure of. So we know it's going to happen. And the whole point is, it's the journey to the destination that matters. Yeah. How they're going to get there.
All right. So I'm just listening to this and decided if they're going to do a classic or a callback with the end of these things, how the next movie should end with the heroes going out the last hurrah. It should end like Butch and Sundance.
With them running out and it all, like, it pauses and you just hear the gunshots or whatever.
No, absolutely. And then that's where they go and they're like, we do this, and that's their hurrah.
That's not necessarily a bad idea, except for the fact that they have to probably go out to save humanity, and you need to see humanity be recovered from their sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
so like you can't necessarily end it like Butch and Sundance, but you could like go up to you could have a Butch and Sundance moment,
right?
Which I think is a brilliant moment.
I think that would be fantastic for them. Yeah,
but I think you still need to see like that their sacrifice means something.
I think if
you know what I mean?
They have that moment, and then it jumps to the survivors not knowing quite what happened or why.
Yeah,
I could see that, but that would be awesome.
I could also see it ending where everything is fixed and only the heroes ever knew what happened.
That would also be very interesting.
That'd be good. And
that way humanity isn't... If people come back and then humanity remembers, that's fucking terrifying. If I was a human and I saw you disappear and all of a sudden you were back, but I remembered that you just faded away into dust, knowing that could happen at any time, like that would fuck with me, like it fucked with Tony in Avengers when he realized the universe is much bigger than just Earth, and he had PTSD all through Iron Man 3,
which is the best Iron Man movie.
Exactly, I agree. In the terms of fixing the universe, that would lead to, and not just for Earth but everywhere, that would leave too many mental health problems for almost any population to continue on normally. So I wouldn't be surprised if either it's fixed and nobody remembers a thing, or just the heroes remember.
You know, as you bring that up, and you know, it's always this big thing with Disney buying Fox. And one of the side benefits is they buy Fox. Would it be feeding into a House of M type storyline?
I'm going to say no,
because there's even if the Fox merger goes through,
it's not a done deal.
It's not.
It's years and years out.
Right. So no, but House of M isn't the second.
Oh, but you're saying you could do like Scarlet Witch come in and do a House of M.
Scarlet Witch coming in and doing a House of M. Like, how do you integrate these two in together? If it's there or not, a House of M could potentially be. But Bendis is gone from Marvel now anyway, so who knows?
That doesn't mean anything.
That's true.
What didn't they ask him to write a Shadowcat movie or something?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is, though, is if you go with Maya's idea of it backtracking to a point where none of humanity knows, that is an interesting way of maybe bringing in like the X-Men characters into the MCU, and so the other stuff still exists, but it's like a new iteration,
right?
And you know, I mean, what humanity knew of it was something different.
Changing actors at that point.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I mean, use that they can use it to change actors.
The reality stone.
We're not going to get the X-Men. It won't be a way for them to bring it in.
I'm not saying they can do it in the next movie. I'm just saying in the long run.
If anything, because they're starting a new series up, well, I don't know what... even though they're in the process of buying it, just in case, they could still be negotiating. If anything, this would be the perfect way to bring in the Fantastic Four at the end. Not to save the day, not to be part of the movie, but to be like...
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And then that's how you have Chris Evans in the movie still, because he's playing the Human Torch again.
Well, no, you dig up Killmonger, and... because he could be the Human Torch.
Fuck that movie.
Maybe if you do bring them in, maybe it doesn't even have to be a time thing. Maybe they're humans that get irradiated in the fight with Thanos, and radiation from like the gauntlet or something gives them powers. Who knows?
Who knows?
Here's a weird concept that sort of just occurred to me. What if they use the Reality Stone to back it up to a certain point in time to bring back everyone, which also includes bringing back some of the key villains? So you now get to have rematches with like Killmonger and with the Mandarin and like all these big even maybe Ultron, like all these big baddies that they've had to fight over the years. Maybe they all come back to life as well.
Well, I mean, I don't think Killmonger's dead, first of all.
Yeah, I don't think he...
And we never saw the Mandarin.
No.
Yeah, we saw Trevor.
We saw Trevor, and then they had that one shot where they're like, the Mandarin did exist, and he was pissed that this guy was over there pretending to be him.
Sure.
So I still want to see the Mandarin. I still want to know
the 10 rings and that whole thing.
So yeah, they could possibly do that, but I think however they do it, they'll do it way better than I could ever figure out. So
all I can say is for all the theories that we have and everyone else has, we're wrong. We're all wrong.
No, for sure. I'm not one to sit there and try to make a movie in my head and then therefore be disappointed. I'm just sort of curious because it's like they've painted themselves into this corner, and now you have the whole world trying to watch how you get yourself out of your corner. Now, obviously, they've written both films at the same time, or prepped both films at the same time, so they know how they're getting out of it. You know what I mean? They know what they're building up to. They know what they're leading up to.
Well, I was going to share this. Adam, our friend Brooks sent this to me. Did he send it to you too?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you sent it to him and around. But anyway, Hollywood Reporter was interviewing, I don't know their full names, just their last names are here. But they're the two guys that are now co-presidents of story for the Russo brothers production company. And Hollywood Reporter asked, you have a lot of other stuff brewing there. Do you consider Avengers 4 your Marvel swan song? They said, if it is, we're pretty happy with it because, boy, Avengers 4, if anything, is better than what you just saw, and bigger.
So they're bringing them all back. Yeah, and introducing them. Yeah, but I really enjoyed it, but it's the first half.
And I agree with, it's been said here, and I talked to our good friend Jimmy Martin the other day for about 45 minutes about the movie. He wishes, and I agree with him, that they had not announced any of the Marvel movies past this. They had not announced a Black Panther 2 or a Spider-Man or whatever.
Because it kind of deflated.
Yeah, but I understand why, because your investors want to know.
Yeah, like, you made all this money, you're doing another one, right? Yes, we're going to keep making money.
Then tell your investors in a private conference call.
That would immediately be leaked to the internet. So there's
the thing is too is that the Disney Corporation has lots of investors, myself included.
So they have to be public about it.
So that's true. Yeah, it has to be fairly public. I mean, you're a publicly traded company. Especially if you're the CEO and you want to keep your job for a while, saying yes, we're going to cash in on this thing that's making all the money in the world. Yes, there will be more of these. You kind of have to say that. Otherwise, you're an idiot. Right. You know what I mean? And like investors don't care about your, making sure you keep the thing secret so that it doesn't ruin the plot of a movie. They want to know that they're going to keep making money.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's just how it has happened. But
sure,
cool. I mean, does anybody else have anything we haven't discussed? I mean, that's
so Captain Marvel. Well, actually, let's talk about the next two movies real quick.
Okay.
I think I have a pretty good idea of what the end credit scene could be for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
I could see everything's done. It's a nice day. His daughter comes home from school, goes to give him a hug, and she turns into dust, because then it takes place right at the same time as the end of this movie. And then that gives him more of a reason to be involved in Avengers 4.
Do you think Hawkeye will make any kind of appearance?
I was going to say, same thing could happen. Hawkeye's family could do the same thing.
But we'll have something that will get them into what needs to go on. So
yeah, and then Captain Marvel. We saw in the end credit sequence
the old school
Nick
pager.
Fury. It wasn't even really a pager.
It was something.
Because watching it the second time, I paid more attention to it. It's not a pager. It looks kind of like old school tech, but it looks new school at the same time. It looks very cobbled together. Now we have a couple of friends that I've heard that thinks she's out in space. And that's summoning her to Earth. I think possibly, and we might find this out since her origin movie's set in the 90s, I think maybe there's something going on. Maybe her powers are burning her body up and they have her in some sort of suspended animation. Just because 1990 is almost 30 years ago.
Right.
And Brie Larson is 28.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a message to whoever's, watching her, taking care of her, like, wake her up. We need her fucking help.
Oh my fucking god! It is almost. Oh my.
Yeah. And that's our Adam Warlock. We don't get Adam Warlock. Captain Marvel's going to be our big hero in the next one.
Yeah.
That may not fix everything, but she'll be the powerhouse.
Yeah.
I also really like that Hulk got PTSD.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
I was half expecting him when we see Bruce in the Hulkbuster armor to like Hulk out and like the armor just breaks off of him. I'm kind of glad it didn't. I'd rather save the Hulk. Keep him in your back pocket. Less is more. When he finally decides to come out, he needs to decide to come out big. And if I have to wait a year to see that, I'm totally okay with that.
So interestingly, I'm looking at the IMDb for the next movie for Avengers 2.
4?
Avengers 4. Yes, sorry. It's labeled on IMDb as Infinity War Part 2, which I think is probably going to change. But
it will, because that's not the real title. Yeah. They haven't told us the real title because it's a spoiler for this movie.
But the thing I thought was interesting is...
Avengers 4, Dust in the Wind.
Dust in the Wind. Oh, that's bad. Is you have some actors listed here that I believe disappeared. Didn't Drax disappear in that movie?
Yeah. All the Guardians except for Rocket.
So Drax is mentioned. However, Chris Pratt is not.
I would say don't take everything you see there with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
A year before Spider-Man, or like 6 months before Spider-Man 3 came out, they had Aunt May listed as Aunt May /Carnage, so people thought that part of the symbiote was gonna go to Aunt May. Don't trust IMDb with anything it says right now.
Okay, well then I won't do it. It was just interesting which people were listed and which people weren't, because a lot of the main characters are not. He was a weird standout, and Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther was a weird standout.
It could be that the entire cast was listed on there, and then slowly they've been taking them down.
Potentially.
Also, did anyone catch the... I know Adam... Well, we saw it because we saw a screenshot of it. I didn't catch it the second time because I forgot to look, but did either of you catch the Arrested Development reference?
I didn't.
What? No, which one?
So, well, the Russo brothers, directed Arrested Development, like many episodes. In Civil War, the blue stair car was at the airport.
Right.
In this one, in the collector's collection... It's not really him. Well, it's not really the actor, but you see a blue man in Daisy Duked cutoffs with glasses and a mustache.
That makes me happy.
They also did a bunch with happy endings. I liked that show.
That was a good show.
We can watch happy endings.
That show was fantastic.
It was a pitch to me as like a slightly younger version of How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Alicia Cuthbert in that is awesome. I've been rewatching 24. She is terrible, at least in the first 2 seasons of 24.
So she got an acting coach at some point in time, is what you're saying?
At some point, or just
got better.
Got better with age, because that was probably like 10 years almost 15 years after 24.
Man, I am old. God.
Yeah, just think 2 years from now, 1990 will have been 30 years ago.
The weird thing that I realized at one point in time was that Back to the Future was closer to the 1950s than we are to when Back to the Future came out.
God.
Piss off, Ghost. This is my favorite line from Ragnarok.
Piss off, Ghost.
I loved Taika Waititi, or with TD, or I can't say his name.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi, yeah.
That's a great name. I need to go watch What We Do in the Shadows again.
Yes, it's awesome. And Flight of the Conchords.
Werewolves, not swearwolves.
Yes. I want a T-shirt that says that. Apparently, they're doing a sequel that's all werewolves.
I've heard there's some rumors about that, so I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it.
I mean, he said it, I think. But, yeah. Anyway, cool. Well, yeah, so we'll be back later this week with a real episode. Depending on when I edited this. It'll either be Lando or it will be Infinity War. But, yeah. So, thanks for listening to our little spoiler-free little mini-cast, and we'll check you later.
It's a bonus episode.
Bonus? Not a boner?
Boner. That's for later.
Bonerous episode.
Yes, a bonus boner.
A bonus is bad.
That's awesome at art.
It's my favorite. I don't have any problems down there. I know what you're talking about.
Bye.
Bye.
So that happened. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode. This band of knuckleheads will be back next week with a new episode. Until then, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr as Funny Books and Firewater, and on Twitter as @FirewaterCast. Go to funnybooksandfirewater.com for the most up-to-date information, as well as cocktail recipes from this and past episodes. Thank you for joining us. And until next week, support your local comic shop, tip your bartender well, and stay hydrated.